Hey up, it's Steve from the old Yorkshire Geek. I'm saying it quietly because the microphone always does it really loud to start with, doesn't it? So I did it quietly. Hopefully I didn't blow your speakers out or your headphones or whatever you're listening on. Right, welcome to my Sunday news live stream. Got a few stories and articles to look at today. We're live on YouTube and Rumble and Twitch. Let's check, make sure that we are actually live on those two platforms. Yes, we're live on Thingamabob, Rumble, and yes, we are live on Twitch as well. And we're going on the YouTubes. I better check, make sure you can hear me. Is anybody in the chat yet? No, nobody's in the chat yet, so I better just check and make sure you can hear me. You'll probably hear my voice in a moment. Where are we? Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Rat-tat-tat. Yes, my dulcet tones. Right, so let's get on with the news, shall we? Before I start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. I'm also on, as I just said, I'm also live on Rumble and Twitch. Later, when I download the video, I'll upload it to Spotify and Amazon Music Podcasts and Google Podcasts. Not that anybody watches them on there. No bugger watches me on Twitch either. No, very rarely. Links in the description for all that. As are the links. Oh, cracky, come here. For me, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, if you want to drop me a message on there. And the links for my 2 books are in there as well. Mercury Rapids, Lighthearted Sci-Fi Action Adventure, and Silent Predator, a short horror novella. Less than 100 pages, I think. Or thereabouts, about big cats eating people in North Yorkshire. I did look for some big cat news this week, but there ain't any. So nobody's seen a big cat this week. I thought, shall I look for some UFO news or, Bigfoot news? And there was actually a Bigfoot video on third phase of moon and some UFO stuff as well. But I thought, nah, I won't bother. We'll just stick with the geeky stuff, the sci-fi and all that jazz. Right, let's get us news up. So I'll make myself teach tiny. There I go, into the corner where I belong. And let's get the news up. Right, oh, hang on. Full screen it, silly man. There we go. Right, first up, this is from, I can't actually remember. Where's it from? Cinema Blend. There you go. As usual, links are in the description down below if you want to read along. You can read along on the screen as well, obviously. I forgot to mention, I've also got a Patreon channel, Patreon account, whatever you call it. I'm also on Patreon. So if you want to join me on there and throw me some money, £3 a month, you get exclusive videos and early access and stuff like that. They've all been exclusive so far. Because I haven't been on long, so I haven't had a chance to upload any of them to YouTube. But there's a couple of exclusives on. Me in magical monochrome. I like to do that. Watch an old film and provide a poor commentary. And I've just I started a new one called Sketch Time, where I draw a picture and you're watching me draw a picture in not live, but in real time. That's the phrase. And chit chat as we go. Right, Star Trek Prodigy is being cancelled ahead of season 2 release, and there's even more bad news. I covered this in a video yesterday, but I thought I'd cover it again because I just found it interesting what's happening with streaming services lately. Anyway, this is a blow to the franchise. There's Admiral Janeway from Prodigy. There's 2 Janeways in Prodigy. There's Admiral Janeway, the real Janeway, and then there's Hologram Janeway, who's on the ship with the younguns. Anyway, let's have a read. Star Trek Prodigy was one of the most exciting shows of the new era of the franchise, especially given its ties to the legacy series Voyager and its characters. It also had some from Deep Space Nine in. I think the one episode I haven't seen. I don't know how I skipped that one. Anyway, unfortunately, season 2 will not release over at Paramount Plus as it's being cancelled. And there's even worse news still. Even if you have a Paramount Plus subscription, you won't even be able to watch Prodigy for too much longer, as it and other shows are being removed. The animated series, which featured actress Kate Mulgrew's return to the franchise as Catherine Janeway, was among 4 shows cancelled by Paramount Plus, all of which will be removed from the service. Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, Star Trek Prodigy, Queen of the Universe, and The Game were all chopped, according to Variety. It was noted that all 4 shows will be removed in the coming days, and that Paramount Plus's decision was allegedly data-driven, i.e., didn't get viewers. And didn't get viewers not because kids don't know the characters or they don't know the 40-plus-year-old references. It probably just didn't get views because probably a lot of people just didn't like it, but I did. Anyway. Prodigy was originally renewed for season 2 and set to premiere in the winter after other upcoming Trek shows. As for whether or not season 2 will release, that depends on whether or not CBS can shop the series to a willing buyer to release it. A joint tweet from showrunners Kevin and Dan Hageman, apologies for mispronouncing that, talked about the situation but remained optimistic that season 2 will see the light of day. Star Trek, and there's Khaleesi for some weird reason. Star Trek has taught my brother and me to strive for a better future. While news of Star Trek Prodigy not returning to Paramount Plus is disappointing, we have faith of the heart. This show will be picked up by a new home to help grow our fervent fan base and inspire the next generation of Star Trek fans. Our talented and passionate team of artists are working tirelessly to complete season 2, and we are staying positive and hopeful that our amazing fans will get to see it soon. Janeway would never give up, so why would we? Let's follow her orders and go boldly. He said it properly. He didn't split his infinitives. Star Trek Prodigy finding a new home would ensure that season 2 will be available to fans, even if it isn't on Paramount. What's unknown, however, is what this would mean for the future of the series beyond the second batch of episodes. Is it possible, for example, that the show could continue beyond season 2 on another network or platform? Paramount Plus has been the home of Star Trek, though we've seen the movies jump off the platform and move from service to service in recent years. Perhaps in this era where original shows are being cancelled frequently, it's possible Prodigy could live on at another service and still release new episodes. We'll just have to wait and see, I suppose, and keep the optimism that the show's crew currently has that it'll be picked up. This is the second major cancellation for the Star Trek franchise this year, as it was announced Discovery will end after its upcoming season 5. I don't think that's classed as a cancellation, though. It's just ending. Though Discovery was already on the schedule when its cancellation was announced, Paramount Plus explained the release date would be pushed back and additional resources were used to allow for the series to film a proper conclusion. Given the situation with Prodigy, the series is not guaranteed a proper ending. Even if it finds a home to stream season 2. I mean, they were given a 2-season contract, basically, so Paramount Plus has broken that contract. But anyway, for now, Star Trek Prodigy, there must be a clause in it that if it doesn't get X amount of viewers, they can cancel it. For now, Star Trek Prodigy is available to stream over on Paramount Plus and on Paramount Plus. You can also watch it on Amazon, overseas. If you subscribe to Paramount Plus through Amazon. Anyway, it will be interesting to see how much longer it will remain on the streamer and how long fans will have to wait for news of whether season 2 will see the light of day. There we go. So I just found it interesting that these streaming services are cancelling shows, their own shows. That's it. We've had Paramount Plus here cancelling, not just cancelling them, removing them from the streaming service altogether. Removing them from the streaming service. Which is odd. When Netflix cancels its shows, it doesn't remove them from the streaming service, does it? They're still there. They're just cancelled. You don't get any new ones. So I wonder if Netflix is going to start doing that then. Removing shows, to save money. Because that's the excuse, isn't it? We've had Disney Plus supposedly wanting to save $1 billion or whatever off Disney Plus by removing shows such as Willow and the other stuff from the service altogether. I'm at it again. Oh, it's on the service. So I just find it interesting. I wonder if other services will follow suit and cancel and remove popular shows that they don't deem popular. I suppose the figures say that they're not popular, but there's always there's always some people that say, "Oh, that's one of my favourite shows." You'll always get a few thousand angry people. And I'm one of them because I like Star Trek Prodigy. I thought it was good. It got off to a shaky start. And at first I was saying, it's okay, but it's not Star Trek. And then it became Star Trek. It got better as it went on. So anyway, there we go. We will leave that one there. Right, next up. Not that many stories this week, to be honest. So it could be a short show. Fingers crossed. Right, next up, Doctor Who Season 15 teased with 3-word clues from Russell T Davies sparked speculation ahead of Season 14. Although Doctor Who Season 14 has yet to debut, the returning showrunner Russell T Davies, is that Shooty Gatwa? Oh, it is, isn't it? Is already teasing Season 15 with some clues. Davies originally took up the reins for Doctor Who in 2005, as he relaunched the show decades after its 1989 cancellation. Having brought Doctor Who back into the public consciousness, he left at the tail end of David Tennant's run as the 10th Doctor, as Davies returns to usher in a new era for the series with Ncuti Gatwa, Sex Education, as the 15th Doctor. He proactively sets Doctor Who's plan for Season 15 with some scripts already in development. While talking to Doctor Who magazine via radiotimes.com, Davies teased that one of the episodes will include the words garden, firmament, and diploma. While that won't reveal much about the upcoming season, since Doctor Who Season 14 has not even aired yet, it can still begin to spark speculation. Returning showrunner Davies is in a unique position to bring Doctor Who back to its roots, which is already evident in his recent endeavours. This includes bringing back Tennant alongside some new Doctor Who characters to ground the show in its history, while also preparing to pave the way for the future with Gatwa. It is also a critical stage for Doctor Who, as viewership waned for the show following Chris Chibnall's run as showrunner, because it were rubbish. Hence, Davies's nostalgic elements with 3-episode 60th anniversary specials may help to rejuvenate interest for the anticipated Season 14. Doctor Who's greatest strength lies in its long and complicated continuity, but it also brings complications to its viewership success. Knowing the show's 60-year history may pose a challenge and deter new viewers, but Davies has shown that he is capable of reintroducing classic elements and modernising them for the future. In the wake of the controversial Timeless Child retcon, this plot becomes more significant as it drastically impacts the Doctor, and the upcoming season and episodes would need to stabilise the matter. Fan engagement also became a key element of Davies's plan. Davies has been dropping hints, such as his 3 clues, which help bring life back to Doctor Who, while any speculation about garden, firmament, and diploma will likely lead viewers in false directions. It offers a chance for some much-needed word of mouth when Doctor Who's specials are still months away. Whatever Davies is hinting at, it's a great sign that he's hard at work producing the future of Doctor Who. So there we go. So 3 words, I forgot already. Garden, firmament, and diploma. I mean, they could mean anything. My son's been annoying. So there we go. So that's that one for Doctor Who. Looking forward to it, seeing what they do with it. So we will see what happens in, is it November? It starts, I think it is. Right. Let's move on. Right, this one. Comic-Con crisis. Marvel, Netflix, Sony, HBO, and Universal to skip San Diego Comic-Con as Fest faces another existential threat. Just bear with me a moment. I'll be back in a minute. I'm back. My son being annoying. Wanting attention. He knows I'm doing my show. He just wants attention. I've been sat doing nothing. As I said in the comment at the top of the thing there, twiddling my thumbs, waiting for the show to start. He could have come and talked to me then, couldn't he? Anyway, where were we? Comic-Con crisis, Marvel, Netflix, Sony, HBO, and Universal to skip San Diego Comic-Con as Fest faces another existential threat. And there's Sophia Butella from Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. Can San Diego Comic-Con catch a break? For 2 years, the biggest annual fan convention in North America, it's probably in the world to be honest, was forced to cancel the 5-day gathering due to the COVID-19 pandemic, placing Comic-Con International, the non-profit organisation that runs San Diego Comic-Con, under unprecedented financial strain. Last year, San Diego Comic-Con came roaring back with a masked and vaccinated convention that was a robust success, with blockbuster Hall H panels for the Star Trek TV universe, House of the Dragon, The Walking Dead, and especially Marvel Studios. This year's Comic-Con, which is scheduled to start July 19th, is less than a month away, is increasingly likely to have none of those panels. At least that's what the studios across the industry are anticipating. So let me have a drinky. If SAG-AFTRA and the AMPTP cannot come to terms by the June 30th contract deadline and the guild goes on strike, actors will almost certainly join writers and showrunners in sitting out promotional events like Comic-Con, leaving studios with almost no one to populate panels in front of thousands of expectant fans. Amid that uncertainty, several studios have preemptively nixed plans for a robust presence at San Diego Comic-Con this year. Disney and its subsidiaries Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm are not planning any panels, cutting off the chance to showcase the casts for upcoming projects like the Marvels, Loki Season 2, Ahsoka and Haunted Mansion. They'll just show trailers and stuff, won't they? And, the odd making of, behind the scenes stuff, probably. HBO, which has True Detective Season 4 soon. I've not seen any of it, and House of the Dragon Season 2, looking forward to that, still in production, isn't going, nor are Sony Pictures with Gran Turismo and Kraven the Hunter this year, and Universal Pictures with Last Voyage of the Demeter, which I'm looking forward to, Strays, and The Exorcist this year. The Exorcist, unbelievable. And Netflix, which just held its massive Tudum fan event. Is it? I just pronounce. Is it Tudum? Yes, because that's what it does at the beginning, doesn't it? It goes Tudum when it draws the N. Yes, fan event in Brazil, where it debuted first looks at big budget genre series, including its One Piece adaptation, is also sitting out SDCC this year. Other studios are still maintaining a wait-and-see posture. Warner Brothers, which needs a robust, using that word a lot, PR boost for upcoming DC features Blue Beetle, a film which nobody asked for, because nobody's ever heard of Blue Beetle, or very few people. Normies, anyway, like me. And Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has yet to rule out skipping Comic-Con, and the company's streaming service Max is planning on bringing some animation titles to the convention. Paramount Pictures expects to hold a panel for the animated feature Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, but its streamer Paramount Plus has yet to commit to panels for its Star Trek shows. Let's just check and make sure we're okay. Yep. NBC will only move forward with its panels if there is no actors' strike, but that protocol does not necessarily extend to its sister streamer Peacock. And Amazon plans to have some kind of presence. Season 2 of The Wheel of Time and The Boys Gen V are due to premiere in the fall. Or is that what they're calling the next season of The Boys Gen V? But the streamer is still sorting out what that will be. Apple, meanwhile, has remained tight-lipped about what, if any, presence they may have. In the absence of panels, some studios may lean on activations and promotional stunts outside the San Diego Convention Center to generate fan interest. But that's cold comfort to San Diego Comic-Con itself, which has thrived for over a decade on a steady stream of A-list stars and marquee projects streaming through its cavernous ballrooms. When reached by Variety, Comic-Con spokesperson David Glanzer provided a statement that avoids saying anything definitive about how San Diego Comic-Con may look in the wake of an actors' strike, but does make clear that organisers expect to go on with the event regardless. With regard to the strike and its possible effects on Comic-Con, we tend to refrain from speculation or forecasting. I will say our hope is for a speedy resolution that will prove beneficial to all parties and allow everyone to continue the work they love. Until then, we continue to diligently work on our summer event in the hopes of making it as fun, educational, and celebratory. I said it right first time. As in years past. Any studio holdouts will have to make a decision very soon. Schedules will start rolling out on July 5th, but they may be making it in the dark if SAG-AFTRA and the AMTP extend contract negotiations beyond the June 30th deadline. It's a bind no superhero will be able to save. And there, that's it. So it could be a quiet San Diego Comic Con this year. They'll find somebody. Something will happen. They'll have a Friday Night Tights in all age panel. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? That'd be fun. Anyway. But yeah, that's it. It's this strike in it that's throwing a spanner in the works, especially if the actors go on strike as well. As Gary says, sack 'em all. But there we go. Unions have a place. They have a place. Anyway, moving on. Star Trek Legacy. This is from CBR. I actually thought this was a Scream Rant article, but it's CBR.com. I mean, they look exactly the same, don't they? Same text and everything. Star Trek Legacy could bring Saavik closure and introduce Spock's kid. The proposed Picard spin-off Star Trek Legacy could bring back beloved Vulcan Saavik and maybe even a tossed-aside story about Spock's child. There they are. She's helping him with his ponfar in Star Trek 3. This is just, speculation. It's 99.9% certain this is not what's going to happen if Star Trek Legacy happens, is made. Anyway, Star Trek Picard Season 3 fans are eager for executive producer and showrunner Terry Matalas to be tapped by Paramount for a sequel series. The series finale renamed the USS Titan to the USS Enterprise G, which was a terrible idea, in my opinion. With Seven of Nine as captain, a spin-off naturally would follow her crew's adventures, as well as revisiting older, forgotten storylines. One thing Star Trek Legacy could explore is the Vulcan character Saavik, and maybe even introduce a child she shares with Spock. Saavik's creation is credited to Nicholas Meyer, the writer and director of The Wrath of Khan. Leonard Nimoy wanted to retire the Spock character, so he was killed off in that film. Yet Meyer and Nimoy both often spoke about how when it came time to film the death scene, Nimoy had second thoughts. Also, series creator Gene Roddenberry leaked that Spock died in the film to create fan protest. So the actor and director included the scene where Spock mind melded with Dr. McCoy as a setup to bring him back in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. This left Saavik, first played by Kirstie Alley and later by the late Kirstie Alley, and later by Robin Curtis, in a weird place. An idea was floated, though never explicitly stated in the film, that Saavik would get pregnant with Spock's child. The storyline and Saavik were abandoned, but it's a story from the original series era that could be picked up in Star Trek Legacy because Vulcans are long-lived. Who was Saavik and why would she have a child with Spock? And there's the late Kirstie Alley as Saavik in Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. Had Leonard Nimoy not had a change of heart, Saavik would have been the new Vulcan in the successive movies with the original cast. Meyer cast Alley in her first ever film role, but the actor did not have a good time while filming. So when the character returned for the third film, Curtis took on the part. That's not quite true. I think she speaks quite fondly of making Star Trek 2, and she was willing to come back. But the producers said they wanted her back, but they were going to give her less money. That's why she didn't do it. And obviously, a manager and agents or whatever said, "No, you're not doing this sequel for less money. If anything, you want more." Because I think she'd probably become more famous then, hadn't she? I don't know if she'd done Cheers and all that by this time, but she'd got more roles. Anyway, the premise of Star Trek 3 was that because of the Genesis effect, Spock was reborn and aging rapidly, luckily to the exact age that Leonard Nimoy was at the time of the film. This also meant that when he came of age, he went through the pon farr. It's an affliction that can kill a Vulcan if he doesn't mate with another. In a surprisingly tasteful scene for the early 1980s, what's that supposed to mean? Saavik and Spock get intimate. The result was going to be a child. However, since she was written out of the story in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, not 6, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, Saavik's pregnancy was dropped. One reason was that Nimoy objected to the idea. Even though Spock was physically younger than Saavik at the time, there was a significant age difference. Also, Nimoy knew Spock would stay with his crew, making Spock another in a long line of absent Star Trek fathers. Kirk, for instance, and David, who dies in Star Trek 3, spoilers. Still, not only would this have been an interesting storyline, but it would also have given Spock a legacy. The story of Saavik and his heir is perfect. Spock's heir, obviously, is perfect for a show called Star Trek Legacy. There are plenty of characters and stories to revisit from the Next Generation era of series. The return of Saavik and the introduction of Spock's son would be a chance to tie the show back to the original series with a meaningful cameo. Is that a trail? That's a clip from Star Trek 2. The actor, I forgot his name now. He didn't get a credit, and I think he fired his agent or manager or whatever afterwards. He didn't get a credit for Star Trek 2. His name doesn't appear in the credits. Anyway, Star Trek Legacy is already full of the kids of beloved characters. Jack Crusher, Picard, Sydney and Alondra LaForge were introduced in Picard. Sorry, I had a brain fart then. Loosening up the idea of legacy, Raffi is a child of Picard too. Sort of. Not really, but never mind. He was kind of a mentor, wasn't he? I wouldn't say she was a child. 7 of 9 is at least a little sister to Catherine Janeway, if not a surrogate daughter. More of a surrogate daughter. Still, even to those characters, anti-Cathy. Still, even to those characters, Spock is a legend. The child of perhaps the most significant Vulcan since Surak would have a lot to live up to, since Spock survived well into the late 2300s, meaning the younger Saavik and his kid could still be alive in 2402. When I say his kid, Spock's kid. Put Spock's kid, and then you're not thinking Saavik's a bloke. And there's Saavik with Spock's mother, Amanda, played by Jane Wyatt in the original series and in Star Trek 4. A show like Star Trek Legacy would be the perfect place to introduce a new character with familial ties to a franchise great. Since Leonard Nimoy passed away, 2 actors have played Spock since. Zachary Quinto appeared in the Kelvin timeline movies, with Nimoy in 2 of them. Ethan Peck played Spock on Star Trek Discovery and now Strange New World. It was terrible on Star Trek Discovery, but it's quite good, actually, in Strange New World. Spock's child would be a way to keep the character alive without continually recasting. Eventually, Star Trek will have to face rewriting the canon or simply letting Spock go. They're actually rewriting the canon now, really, in Strange New Worlds. And usually, I'd be up in arms about it, but for some reason, I'm not, and I don't really know why, because I'm quite enjoying Strange New Worlds. And I shouldn't be, to be honest. I know I shouldn't be, but I am, and I can't help it. I can't help it if I like something. I'm not going to say I dislike something, just to prove a point, just to they're messing with canon. If I'm actually enjoying watching it, I'm not going to lie about it and pretend I don't like it. Eventually, Star Trek will have to face rewriting. I've just read that. Spock Jr. would fix that problem, yet with or without that element, Saavik deserves another chance. The character almost returned in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, but Roddenberry objected to the plan to make her a traitor. That was with the character of Valeris, played by Kim Cattrall. Nicholas Meyer was back to direct the film and didn't care what Roddenberry thought. Still, since Kirstie Alley wasn't available to reprise the role, he cast Kim Cattrall as a new character instead. Why didn't he just go for Robin Curtis? Anyway, this means Saavik was left on Vulcan, and Star Trek Legacy could give the character his due. Kirstie Alley passed away in December 2022, meaning Robin Curtis could reprise the role. Roddenberry objected to Saavik's heel turn because even at the end of his life, he was connected to the fans. He knew they loved the character, and many fans still do. Just as Picard's final season was the final act those characters deserved, Saavik should get her chance for one more trek around the stars. It'd be nice, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Because, Hollywood writers, they never do what the fans want them to do, or very rarely, they just do what they want to do. But it'd be nice to see Saavik and Spock's child, but we've had parents, we've had mothers keeping kids secret. We had it in Star Trek Picard, didn't we? Beverly kept Jack a secret from Jean-Luc. And obviously, Star Trek 2, although Kirk knew about David, he was asked to stay away by Carol Marcus. Well, and he did. So it's not exactly new, is it? Not exactly new. But it'd be nice to know that Spock's line is continuing. Because as far as we know, he hasn't got any other kids. Maybe Cyborg's got kids. The line of Sarek continues. Maybe Cyborg's got kids up and down. I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave that one there. So let's move on to the next article. This is a funny one. Well, I think it is. Because I just glanced at it. Disney Plus Ahsoka, new photo. Well, it's not really a photo, but never mind. Sparks theories about Captain Rex appearance as in the show. And there's Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. There's Captain Rex from Clone Wars or whatever they were in. And there's Tamara Morrison, obviously as Rex. Anyway, Star Wars just revealed Tamara Morrison is alive as a live-action Captain Rex. First introduced in 2008's The Clone Wars animated film, the loyal clone trooper has appeared in Clone Wars in the Clone Wars animated series, Star Wars Rebels, Tales of the Jedi, and Star Wars The Bad Batch, but never in live action. Or has he? What's Return of the Jedi? When they get to Endor. There's a fella there that looks a lot like Captain Rex. And it's kind of been, retconned that it is Rex. Kind of officially. Anyway. But with Ahsoka on Disney Plus, confirmed to bring the Star Wars Rebels cast to live action, fans are hopeful that Rex is among them. The version of Captain Rex that Lucasfilm released for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes bears a striking resemblance to Tamara Morrison. Of course it does. Leading fans to question whether the Boba Fett star will appear in Ahsoka. Of course it bears a striking resemblance to him. Because Tamara Morrison is, the cloned Jango Fett to make all the clone troopers. So that's why. And Tamara Morrison played Jango Fett and Boba Fett and all the clones. Unbelievable. The character description for the collectible RPG mobile game notes his friendship with Ahsoka Tano and claims this Rex is how he's seen in Star Wars Rebels. Was it? Okay. However, in Rebels, Rex was animated, voiced by D. Bradley Baker, and had a much more general design than this live-action version inspired by Morrison. I mean, that's a bit... I know it's a little bit like him, but it's not that good of a likeness. It's like, I've done that. Following his starring role in the Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus, which, wasn't good, to be honest. The last Star Wars audiences saw Tamara Morrison was in Obi-Wan Kenobi, where the actor played an aged clone trooper veteran. Yes, he did, yes. Since Tamara Morrison played Jango Fett in Star Wars Attack of the Clones, the template for the clone army, as well as Boba Fett and an aged clone trooper, it would be surprising if Lucasfilm didn't take the opportunity to use the actor for a live-action portrayal of Captain Rex. I mean, we saw him playing loads of different clones, didn't we? We saw him as Commander Cody and, various others, because they all look alike. The former member of the 501st isn't just a fan favourite character, he's also connected to many of the Skywalker saga's primary players and integral to Ahsoka's own story. Not having him appear in Ahsoka's solo series would seem like a missed opportunity. However, the fact Lucasfilm is already using Morrison's likeness in promoting Rex suggests that the studio knows this, and it may be the best evidence yet that it will happen. Still, it's worth noting Morrison has always been the design inspiration for the clones. Yeah, because they were clones of him, particularly for live action. The Book of Boba Fett actor's likeness was also previously used for a collectible bust of old Captain Rex. There's also a legitimate reason why Rex may not appear in Ahsoka. Given that series takes place at least 5 years after Return of the Jedi, Rex may no longer be alive, and if he is, he would be considerably older due to the clone's accelerated aging. Well, they live half as long, don't they? Their aging speed up twice, so 10 years for us is 20 years for them, isn't it? So he'd be 10 years older, so he might still be knocking about after Return of the Jedi. Anyway, still, that's not to say that he couldn't, especially if the Disney Plus series. I mean, sorry, I'm going off now. If it were created, how old will he have been? They had adult clones ready for Attack of the Clones, which were around 20 years before A New Hope. We'll call it 23 years. So the adult ones had been 20 years old because they'd been started 10 years earlier, so they were equivalent to 20 years old. So with another, so it'd be 43 at the time of A New Hope. But you've got to think now, it was 23 years for us, it'd be another 43 years. So it'd be like 63, wouldn't it? Equivalent. Yeah. It'd be the equivalent of 63 in A New Hope. So he'd be like in his late 60s by Return of the Jedi. But he does look, he's got a grey beard and everything, that character that we see in Return of the Jedi. So another 10 years aging worth after that. So it'd be in his early 70s. So it could still be around. It is feasible. But I don't know how healthy he'd be. Anyway. Still, that's not to say that he couldn't, especially if the Disney Plus series intends to use flashbacks or time jumps and pay off those alleged Clone Wars connections. For now, the odds of a live-action Captain Rex in Ahsoka are still up for debate. However, Star Wars' use of Tamara Morrison in this latest bit of marketing is definitely encouraging. Ahsoka arrives on August 23rd on Disney Plus. There we go. I wouldn't be surprised if he is in it, to be honest. I mean, look, how old was Bo-Katan supposed to be? She didn't look. I'm sure she was supposed to be in the 60s. She were around during the Clone Wars, wasn't she? Which were like 20 odd years before. Well, longer. 20 odd. Yeah, but we'll say 30 years before the Mandalorian, wasn't it? So that means she was probably at least 50. During that, but she didn't look it, did she? But that's Katie Sackhoff for you. Anyway, whatever. Let's move on. Hey, sticking with Star Wars. Right, Andor's Tony Gilroy flat out ignored Rogue One feedback, but didn't dismiss it, and there he is. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, endures as one of the most widely acclaimed Star Wars projects of the modern era. Unsurprisingly, the Disney Plus prequel series it spawned, Andor, also became a near unanimous hit among franchise fans, except nobody watched it. Tony Gilroy played a big hand in the creation of both endeavours, though despite how loud Star Wars fans can be, he's admitted that he's actually managed to ignore the response to Rogue One. He shared as much during a chat with the Hollywood Reporter, clarifying that he wasn't dismissive of the feedback by any means. And I'll say it again, say it every time Rogue One's mentioned. It's my favourite Star Wars film. So there you go. I think it's excellent. It's not perfect. No Star Wars film is. Not even Empire, which I think dips a lot in the middle. Anyway, it would be criminal, quote, it would be criminal if I didn't have great affection for the environment that I'm playing in for 5 years. It would be a crime. It was supposed to be 5 seasons, wasn't it? But, Maybe it means actual 5 years is working on it. It would be a crime against nature to take 5 years of your creative life and not really believe in the thing you're doing. Gilroy told the publication of his experience in the Star Wars universe. He also recalled visiting with fans of the saga during the Star Wars Celebration 2023 event and referred to their near limitless passion as a form of investment. In his eyes, fans are the reason the minds at Disney and Lucasfilm were willing to take an economic gamble on Andor. Apparently, it costs like $250 million to make Andor, which is a lot of money for something that not many people watched. At the same time, Gilroy has also explained that working on the Star Wars production with fans of the franchise comes with its own unique set of challenges. Star Wars is one of those franchises that's so deeply ingrained in pop culture that even if you're not a fan, you have some awareness of it. It's inescapable. And it has reached a point where the name alone carries an impressive amount of gravitas. Something Tony Gilroy learned as he got started on Andor. During another chat with the Hollywood Reporter, he shared that as soon as they walked in the front door to get to work on the series, much of the Andor team was in awe at the fact that they were assembling a Star Wars production. It's a testament to the potent power of Star Wars. It really gets into people's heads, but to change the lane and do it this way, it takes a little effort, he said, mentioning that in order to get everyone in the right frame of mind, he had to prompt them to look past their deep-rooted love of Star Wars. Gilroy took note that a similar thing happens to actors too. From the moment they put on their Star Wars costumes, it's as if they completely change and no longer, as Gilroy worded it, do their thing. Star Wars fans and fandom can be tricky to navigate around while working on a new franchise entry, but at the same time, the galaxy far, far away drinking game, thank God, would be nothing without them. Is that it? Oh, yeah. It doesn't say what the fans said to him. You know, he ignored, what does it say in the thing? Flat out ignored Rogue One feedback, but it doesn't say what the feedback was. You know, what fans said. I mean, the only criticism I have of Rogue One is the Bar Gullet scene, which I thought were pointless. That was stupid. Why didn't they just use like a probe? You know, an old Imperial mind probe thing or whatever, you know, that Dr. Ball thing. Why did they just use that on the pilot? I forgot his name now. Can't remember him anyway. My favourite film, can't remember the bloody characters' names. I'm old. So there we go. But I still think it's important for producers and writers and directors not to ignore fans, but take on board what they say. And if they agree with what the fans say, then maybe do change things. But if they think their vision is still what needs to be put on screen, I think they should still go with that. For good or bad, because you know if you essentially bow to the mob at every turn, we'll never get anything worth watching, will we? It'll just be, you know, that's a mob rule. Nobody wants that. Right, let's move on. We're getting near the end now. Ish. Right. The difference between Star Trek's, this is proper nerdy stuff, this, isn't it? Star Trek's photon torpedoes and quantum torpedoes in plain English. To be honest, I've never even thought about it. I know photon torpedoes are supposed to be a antimatter bomb, basically, aren't they? I don't even know why they're called photon torpedoes. They're not to do with photons. Anyway, let's see what it says. The USS Enterprise is, as any good Trekkie or Trekker could tell you, a vessel of research, diplomacy, and exploration. Whichever Star Trek series you prefer, each Enterprise is going to be equipped with state-of-the-art computer systems, high-powered engines that allow it to travel many, many times the speed of light, and no end of medical facilities, research labs, schools, diplomatic quarters, arboretums, bowling alleys, and at least one tavern. Don't forget cetacean ops. And because there are unknown hostilities out in the cosmos, Starfleet vessels are also equipped with high-powered weapons. In a battle scenario, the Enterprise is usually seen firing phasers, a beam-like energy weapon, as well as physical photon torpedoes. While on board, photon torpedoes are depicted as elongated black coffin-sized weapons that are physically loaded into one of the ship's multiple launchers. When launched, photon torpedoes appear as red glowing balls of light that crash into their targets with explosive force. At some point during Star Trek Deep Space Nine, however, talk of photon torpedoes came to an end, as they had seemingly been replaced by something called quantum torpedoes. Quantum torpedoes glowed white and moved more quickly through space. They were the standard weapon on board DS9 ship, the USS Defiant, a vessel built for attack. Not the standard weapon, it was the ship's phasers that were the standard weapon. But it had like pulse phasers that I think each pulse were a different phaser frequency. It was designed to tackle the Borg and Borg adaptations. Anyway, after that, most Starship torpedoes became quantum torpedoes. Not really. Not really. We saw them occasionally, but I still think regular photon torpedoes are the norm. What is the difference? Well, sadly, it seems that few scripted Star Trek shows have bothered to explain what separates a photon torpedo from a quantum torpedo. Luckily, enterprising nerds and Trek writers have explained what they are in ancillary, expanded universe materials like technical manuals and in interviews. It is an immutable rule of nature that no detail of Star Trek is going to go unexplored. And there's Enterprise E firing quantum torpedoes. And don't forget, there's also tri-cobalt devices, which we saw on board USS Voyager, which we've never seen since, I don't think. Anyway, which were really powerful. Although they were mentioned in the episode, I forgot what they called it now. Is it the Voyager Conspiracy or something like that? Anyway, in the early 1990s, producer and screenwriter Andre Bomanis, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, worked as the science consultant on Star Trek The Next Generation and would go on to serve on Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager as well. So he was there for the transition from photons to quantums. In a 2011 interview with the BBC, Bomanis, I don't know, was grilled, we'll say Andre, was grilled about all the small technical details on Star Trek and revealed some interesting details. He revealed that the photon torpedoes on Next Generation, set about a century after the events of the original series, were far more powerful than the ones on Kirk's ship. He also had a good analogue for the torpedoes in terms of earthbound modern-day weapons, Andre said. Photon torpedoes have a greater yield. Well, it can vary, can't it? They can have a different yields. It's a more powerful bang than it was in the original series. Then on Deep Space Nine, we suggested a new invention called a quantum torpedo, and presumably that was kind of like the difference between an A bomb and an H bomb. This is an even more powerful torpedo weapon that could disrupt matter at a quantum level. We never worked out in any detail how, because it's beyond present-day science. Photon torpedoes were a more conventional kind of explosive weapon that incorporated matter and antimatter explosions. Well, yeah. I still don't know why they call them photon. I mean, in Star Trek Enterprise, they were called photonic torpedoes. You know, they were the precursor to photon torpedoes. But we saw that even the Klingons had photon torpedoes in that timeline. But Starfleet didn't. Well, the Earth ships didn't. If photon torpedoes, excuse me, if photon torpedoes employed matter-antimatter explosions, why aren't they called antimatter torpedoes? How do photons, particles of electromagnetic radiation, essentially particles of light, enter into it? Well, according to the Star Trek Next Generation technical manual, photon torpedoes employ deuterium, which is a stable hydrogen isotope, which was activated by antideuterium. Very similar to a reaction in a nuclear explosion. The Next Generation era photons added magnetic packets into the process, speeding up the explosion and increasing the damage. It seems photon refers to photonic radiation. A bit of a stretch. I thought it were just they were matter and antimatter kept, locked in a, whatever the force fields or whatever that they've got to keep the electromagnetic fields, and then when it hit its target or it was detonated, remotely, the field collapsed and the matter and antimatter came together, resulting in the explosion. And if you want a different yield, you have a smaller amount of matter and antimatter. Anyway, quantum torpedoes. I don't know what photonic radiation's got to do with it. Anyway, the technology of quantum torpedoes, meanwhile, is far more complex and steers directly into utter jargon. From the Star Trek Deep Space Nine technical manual, authors Rick Sternbach, Doug Drexler, and Herman Zimmerman wrote the following description, and be warned, none of this will make much sense. The quantum warhead relies on rapid energy extraction from zero-point vacuum. Called Rodney McKay, he knows all about ZPMs. This is established from an 11-dimensional space-time membrane twisted into a genus 1 topology string housed inside the ultra-clean vacuum of a 1.38 meter-long teardrop-shaped zero-point field reaction chamber. The detonation of a photon torpedo warhead enriched with fluorinetic vapor inside the torpedo powers a continuum distortion emitter. It expands the membrane and pinches it out of the background vacuum. The membrane forms into subatomic particles, accompanied by a high explosive energy release. That's what's called technobabble, which is all a fancy way of saying it explodes better. Notably, terms like zero-point vacuum, 11-dimensional, and topology strings are all terms cribbed from actual quantum mechanics. Star Trek has always been good about extrapolating elements of its fictional technology from actual scientific principles, merely expanding them to match the fantastical sci-fi world in which it is set. But they don't always get it right. The episode, the Voyager episode, Distant Origin, talks about dinosaurs, and they refer to the dinosaurs, the Voth, as cold-blooded. But we now know, we've learned since that episode that dinosaurs were warm-blooded, weren't they? And evolved into birds. In both cases, torpedoes are equipped with miniature high-powered engines that can propel them at great speeds, as well as computers that can track targets. Quantum torpedoes can travel at warp speeds when fired at warp, thanks to a hand-off warp field produced by induction coils. Supposedly, you're not supposed to be able to fire phasers at warp because you're traveling too fast for the beam to actually leave the phaser emitter. But that's why they just use torpedoes. They can travel, separately, if you know what I mean, relatively. But they've even modern Star Trek, forgets that at times and shows phasers being fired up to warp speed. Anyway. All of this is aggressively technical, of course, but then the well-thought-out engineering detail is one of the more appealing aspects of Star Trek. Nerds can zero in on technology, on computer panels, and on jargon, and start to get a sense as to how the ship operates, and maybe entertain the notion that they too could operate the Enterprise, like me just waffling on then about phasers and warp and that. It's all good fun, even though it doesn't necessarily make a huge amount of sense. Right, we'll move on. That was fun. I've pressed the wrong button, haven't I? But did I have that on there? Have I just gone through all the article, not showing it? I could have done. Too late now. I could have done. I could have just read all the article and you've not seen it. Anyway, no, see, I've not done that full screen, have I? Right, the penultimate one. Hollywood is safer than it used to be thanks to one infamous sci-fi movie. No one remembers the movie. Well, yeah, a lot of people remember the movie. I do. Everyone remembers the aftermath. When it comes to the Twilight Zone, the movie, tragedy is usually what people think of. But 4 decades since its theatrical premiere, Hollywood is much safer because of it. The movie adaptation of Rod Serling's iconic sci-fi series featured 4 different stories by director Steven Spielberg, who helmed Kick the Can, which was the least, of the episodes. Joe Dante, It's a Good Life, which were okay. George Miller, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, which is what everybody remembers. And John Landis's Time Out, piecing together the anthology, and that's the tragic one, with an ensemble cast that included Dan Aykroyd, Albert Brooks, Scatman Crothers, and Nancy Cartwright. The movie achieved moderate box office success. It's also worth noting, considering the movie's tainted legacy, The accident happened on Landis's watch. Vic Morrow starred in his segment, which follows a scathing racist as time travel makes him a black man pursued by the Ku Klux Klan in 1950s America, a Jew in Nazi-occupied France, and a Vietnamese man fleeing American soldiers during the Vietnam War. Morrow's bill suffers a grim ending, and Morrow himself never lived to see the movie hit theatres. The cast and crew were on location for a night shoot in the Santa Clarita region of Southern California, which doubled for Vietnam. In the early morning, Morrow was tasked with escorting two Vietnamese children, played by Muka Din Le and Rene Shin Yi Chen, across a river to safety as an armed helicopter pursued them during an air raid. Between the use of live explosives and Landis's demands for the copter to fly dangerously low, an explosion took down the aircraft and killed the three actors. Morrow was 53 years old, Lee was 7, and Chen was 6. I think the kids were decapitated or something, or maybe Morrow was, I don't know, but they died instantly. The catastrophe rocked Hollywood and led to a drawn-out trial. Aside from multiple safety regulations being ignored, the children Morrow was working with were hired illegally. It was also illegal for child actors to be on a set that late in the night. And he kind of got away with it, did Landis, kind of. I don't think he went to prison. He should have done, really. And the producers. Anyway, Dorsey Wingo, a Vietnam veteran who flew the helicopter, was acquitted of manslaughter charges but lost his pilot's license. Landis continued directing movies until the trial began in 1985, helming the comedies Spies Like Us and Three Amigos. I didn't know he'd done Three Amigos. In 1988, the year following his acquittal, Coming to America hit it big at the box office. Landis avoided legal accountability, but his reputation began a downward turn. During the press tour for Coming to America, star Eddie Murphy famously stated, Vic Morrow has a better chance of working with Landis again than I do. Ooh, burn. In 2012, he doubled down on this assertion to Playboy. And there's John Lithgow in his segment. I don't want to say who was guilty or who was innocent, Murphy said, but if you're directing a movie and two kids get their heads chopped off at effing 12 o'clock at night, when there ain't supposed to be kids working and you said action, then you have some sort of responsibility. Yeah. Landis continued making movies, but as he dealt with civil suits and public backlash, his mid-80s box office glory faded. Production safety, on the other hand, received an overhaul. Before Twilight Zone the movie, filmmakers exploited loopholes to meet schedule and budget goals, but all that changed. John Silver, vice president at Warner Brothers, assembled a committee to create a list of standards known as safety bulletins to address special effects, ranging from gunfire to fixed-wing aircraft to pyrotechnics. It was like lawmaking, Chris Palmer, a risk management consultant on the committee, told The Slate. The committee had to pass words like would, shall, and must because of the possibility of negligence lawsuits overtaking Hollywood if they were too strict in the wording. And there's Vic Morrow from the first segment. As with any attempted remodel of an established industry, it took time, but immediate concerns were felt by some other big names. Clue director Jonathan Lynn revealed to Entertainment Weekly that due to the Twilight Zone accident, he was forced to rethink a scene that featured a chandelier crashing to the ground near Colonel Mustard, Martin Mull. The only thing we storyboarded was the chandelier falling, and I was too safety conscious, he said. It fell too far from Martin. In my view, excuse me, but I was very safety conscious because producer John Landis had just had a terrible accident on the set of The Twilight Zone. In a key scene of Stand By Me stars Will Wheaton. Oh, hang on. Where is it?
Will Wheaton.
Jerry O'Connell and River Phoenix and Corey Feldman run along train tracks set high on a bridge as a train barrels down on them. Debut director Rob Reiner told The Guardian in 2021 the train sequence was difficult. For long shots, we had stunt doubles, and when I did shots with the actual boys, we used long lenses so the train looked like it was right on top of them, even though it hadn't even entered the trestle. Progress takes time, and accidents still happen, which means it was miles behind. Progress takes time and accidents still happen. In the years since Twilight Zone, the movie, pilot Art Scholl died after his camera plane crashed on the set of Top Gun. Reed Rendell, a stuntman on the 1980s action series Airwolf, Airwolf, died in a helicopter crash. Midnight Rider camera assistant, Sarah Jones died in a train crash after production negligence placed her, the crew, and cast on a set of train tracks illegally. And the Crow star Brandon Lee, Voyager's actor John Eric Hexam, and Rust director of photography Helena Hutchins were all killed by mishandled guns loaded with blanks. And there's the rabbit from the Joe Dante portion of Twilight Zone, the movie. To this day, is this going on much longer? To this day, a new safety bulletin is submitted after every production issue, from minor mishaps to deadly accidents. After stunt legend Dar Robinson died during the shooting of $1 Million Mystery, having an ambulance on set became the industry norm, Slate stated. While Landis escaped incarceration, Midnight Rider director Randall Miller, producers Jody Savin and Jay Sedrish, and first assistant director Hilary Schwartz were charged with involuntary manslaughter in 2015. I think Landis should have gone to prison. I do. Miller served 2 years in prison and was ordered to pay a $20,000 fine, and is banned from serving as a director or assistant director until 2025. His punishment marked the first time a filmmaker was held responsible for a death on set. Because of Twilight Zone, the movie, and subsequent industry safety changes, insurance companies began to take the movie industry seriously. In the grim irony, they once dubbed the movie business too unsafe to profit from. But Hollywood is a better investment now. Insurance companies certify every step, from staff resumes to the materials used in action sequences, and it's all due to the safety bulletins. The Twilight Zone, the movie, has a damned legacy, but it led to enduring progress on how movies and TV shows are made. Hollywood isn't perfect, and there are always problems to be addressed, but making safety the number one priority has shifted the filmmaking business for the better. Yes, it has. Yes, it's tragic what happened to the Twilight Zone movie, and I think John Landis should have gone to prison, and the producers of the Twilight Zone movie, or at least that segment of it, should have gone to prison as well. So there we go. Anyway, moving on. The last one. It's a bit of a list, is this one, and I've not read it, so anything could happen. Right, best sci-fi movies of the 21st century, from missions in space and meditations on the dangers of AI to alien invasion and post-apocalyptic adventures. These are the very best science fiction films of the 21st century so far. Right, let's see what we've got. I'll not read that, we'll just go through it. Right, Minority Report, 2002. Yeah, fine, fair enough. I don't know how many is in this list, by the way. There could be a lot. There could be 10. I don't know. But yes, fair enough. That's a good film. I enjoyed it. It's a Steven Spielberg film, isn't it? Starring Tom Cruise. Based on a Philip K. Dick novel or story or whatever. And yes, it's jolly good. So there you go. Signs, 2002. Another good film. Another one I enjoy. M. Night Shyamalan. Which had a bit of a twist in it, but not much, But it's a good film about an alien invasion where the aliens invade a planet 75% covered in water, and they're kind of allergic to it, but never mind. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004. That's the Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet one, isn't it? Which I've seen once, and I thought, yeah, we're all right. I've not watched it since. So well, that wouldn't be on my list, and neither would this one. War of the Worlds, 2005, another Steven Spielberg film, which it had a couple of good sequences. To be honest, the opening sequence, when the tripod comes out of the ground and all hell breaks loose, that's the best part in it, really. The rest of it's not so good. V for Vendetta, 2006, excellent film. I've seen that a few times. If you're a conspiracy freak, a bit like me, it's for you. Get it watched. Children of Men, another great film. Another film which I've only watched once. I don't know why. I actually got it. I've got it on DVD or Blu-ray. I've got it somewhere. And for some reason, I've only watched it once, but, it was cool. Sunshine, 2007, another film I've only watched once, and I didn't really like it, to be honest. Danny Boyle film, isn't it? But it started off okay, like I said, with this going to the sun or whatever, this crew on this mission. But it ends up just turning into like a slasher film at the end, and so I didn't really like it, to be honest. Cloverfield, my favourite, found footage film. Excellent. If you shows what you can do if you throw like $30 million at a found footage film, you get Cloverfield, and it's excellent. The sequels, which are not found footage films, are not as good, in my opinion. Wall-E, 2008, one of the last of the great Pixar movies. Little robot on Earth. Earth's like a big rubbish dump. No plants can grow, and he finds a living plant, and and stuff happens afterwards. District 9, excellent film. This is a film that kind of starts out a bit like a found footage film, sort of. And there's even bits in it further on later in the film that are very found footage, like CCTV footage and stuff like that. But it is an excellent film, and we're still waiting for the sequel. There's supposed to be a District 10 coming, isn't there? Supposedly, from Neil Blomkamp. Great film. The film that gave us Sharlto Copley. Great film. Moon, 2009. That's another film I've only seen once, but I did enjoy it. Duncan Jones, who is David Bowie's son. Starring Sam Rockwell. I won't spoil it for you. It's a good film. Inception, Christopher Nolan. Now, I did enjoy it. I've actually got it on Blu-ray over there. But I'm not a huge Christopher Nolan fan, to be honest. And he's a bit of a show-off. And he knows it. And it annoys me a lot of the time. But he's a really good filmmaker. And I did enjoy Inception. Particularly the James Bond sequence, which showed that Tom Hardy should have been James Bond. But never mind. Next, Attack the Block. Oh, that's I wasn't expecting that being in here, but yeah, that's a good film as well. From I forgot who directed it. I forgot his name. Joe Cornish. That's it. Joe Cornish directed it. Yes, and it's a decent film with John Boyega in a breakout role. He don't have many lines in it, but like he smoulders all the way through it. Oodles of charisma. Prometheus. I won't put that in this list. Not the greatest sci-fi films. It's a well-made film, but it's stupid. The script isn't up to much, but it looks nice. I'll give it that. And I didn't hate it, but it's stupid. Looper, another one that I think's overrated. Ryan Johnson, film. Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. About time travel, and I saw it once, and I thought, yeah, we're good with that. And I thought before Last Jedi came out, I thought, well, I'll watch some of Ryan Johnson's stuff. I started watching, is it Brick? I didn't get very far into that. I watched Looper. I watched that all the way through, and I thought, not as good as I thought it was, to be honest. And then I watched his Breaking Bad episodes, particularly that one, about the fly, and not Jeff Goldblum, about an actual fly. And I thought that episode was crap. Everybody loves it, but I thought it was garbage. Anyway, Snowpiercer 2013. Another one that's, for some reason, this is going to be on one of my Monday Moans. Snowpiercer. Everybody loves it, and I don't know why. But anyway, you're on a train that never ends. It's just going forever. It can't keep going. It's got to stop sometime, hasn't it? Anyway, Gravity, 2013. This is an Oscar-winning film, isn't it, I think? Yeah, it says there. Won 7 Oscars with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. And it's really good, and especially in 3D. But a bit far-fetched, some of the stuff she does. But she's clever. She's clever, this Sandra Bullock, is this astronaut. So she could work out all these trajectories and jump from one place to another in space and not die. Pacific Rim 2013. Yes, why not? This is a good film. Guillermo del Toro. No, I was going to say John Boyega again, but he's in the sequel, isn't he? But yeah, it's an enjoyable film. It's giant robots fighting giant monsters, and it's all good fun. Cities get destroyed and all sorts of stuff. Like Godzilla sort of thing. It's all good fun. Her 2013. I've not seen it, so I can't comment on that. Spike Jones. Is it about like robots and stuff? Don't know. I've not seen it, so I don't know. So I'll have to give that a look. So I can't comment on that one. Under the Skin, excellent film. Again, a film I've only seen once. But it's enough, and it sticks with you, especially that scene, this scene here. Scarlett Johansson plays an alien who comes to Earth and lures men basically to their death for whatever, the bodily fluids, I suppose, for whatever this alien race needs them for. It's a great film. But low key, it's a slow burn. It is. Guardians of the Galaxy 2014. Yes, that'll be in there. It's a great film. It's the Star Wars of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, isn't it? And there you go. And what's more to be said about that? Edge of Tomorrow, or is it? What's the other title? Live, Die. I forgot what they call it. Live, Die, Repeat, or something like that. Yeah, it's a good film. I've seen it a couple of times, and it's one of these that's underrated. I think. I don't know why. It kind of came out and it was popular, but I don't think it did super well. But everybody seemed to like it. But anyway, what else? Interstellar. I hate this film. This won't be in there. This is another Christopher Nolan at his worst, where he's just showing off, saying, "Look how clever I am. Look, I can do a black hole. How they actually look. No, black holes look like the black hole." In 1979, the black hole, in my mind. But he's all scientific because he's clever, isn't he? And the ending was stupid. It was stupid, the ending. I hated it. The Martian, another film I've seen just once, and I thought, yeah, it was fine. Ridley Scott, Matt Damon, yeah, whatever. It was okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was brilliant. Ex Machina, I didn't really like it, to be honest. And I've said before on other streams or videos that a film came out, I don't think the same year, but around about the same time. It might have been a year before or a year after. Can't remember. Called The Machine, starring Toby Stevens, and I can never remember her name. Katie Lotz. There we go. Katie Lotz, who were in Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. Had a similar idea about a robot, an AI robot, but it was a much better film in my opinion than this. This was a bit too melodramatic for me. Mad Max Fury Road, yeah, great film. A bit on the nose with the messaging, wasn't it? Girl power and all that, but it was great fun. And it wasn't really a Mad Max film. It was a Furiosa film, really, when all said and done, wasn't it? But it was good. It was good fun. Colossal, not seen it, so I can't say out about that. I've heard of it. She's controlling something that's destroying somewhere across the world or whatever. I don't know. But I've not seen it. I don't know. Arrival, yawn. I hated this film. What was it? Denis Villeneuve's film. I hated it. I thought it was boring. Another one that I'd recommend, another film that's got a similar premise. It's about aliens in it coming in like a spaceship that comes down and to go on board and try and work out what the aliens want. And it's all yawn. But the film came out in the late 90s. It might be 97 or 99 or something like that. Late 90s. Called Epoch, which was probably made on a fraction of the budget that this was made on. It was miles better. Rogue One, yes, that'll be in there because that's my favourite Star Wars film. So there you go. That's all I've got to say about that. Blade Runner 2049. I found it boring. The original is much better. But I'm not a massive fan of the original. I like it, but I'm not a massive fan of it. But this one I just found boring. But she was nice in it. Was it Anna de Almas? She was nice to look at. So, it wasn't a total loss. The Endless 2017. I've seen this. I actually bought it on DVD on a recommendation, and I thought, yeah, we're all right. That's okay. It's about like alternate universes colliding and merging and stuff like that. It's it's like an art house film, It's a bit weird, but it's fine. It wouldn't be A Quiet Place. I hate this film. I do. It really, really annoys me. This, if you join me on Monday, tomorrow night, me Monday moan tomorrow night is about this. Is about A Quiet Place. I hate this film. It's so annoying. You're in a world where you've got to stay quiet because otherwise alien monsters will get you. And everything they do, they make lots of noise. They're stupid people. It's a stupid script. And I've got to watch it tomorrow. I don't want to, but I've got to. Anyway. Annihilation 2018. Oh, this is the I forgot her name. Natalie Portman one, isn't it? That were on Netflix. Put it on Netflix. I think it was, wasn't it? I can't remember. But yes, this was an enjoyable film. You know, the scene with the bear monster, whatever the hell, the mutant bear screaming is terrifying, to be honest. But yeah, that's a good film. Oh, God, how many is there? The Platform 29. Never heard of it. Never heard of it, so I can't comment on that one. Made a huge splash on streaming, did it? Never heard of it. It's a Spanish science fiction film with a jolt of horror. All right. Well, what's it on then? I never said what it's on. Is it on Netflix? Is it on Amazon? Is it on Disney? Well, what's it on? Probably on Netflix if it's Spanish. They like doing the international stuff. Does Netflix, doesn't it? June 2021. Yeah, we're okay. We're fine. I still prefer the 1984 one. I love the 1984 June. I'm unapologetic about it. It's flaws and all. I love it. But it was fine. Oh, there we go. That's it. So there we go. A quick run through of the best sci-fi films of the 20th century. Some of them I like, some of them I love, some of them I hate. So there we go. I can't be bothered going all the way back up there. Right, that's the last story. So we've done a slightly quicker show than I've done of late. Not as many stories. Must be a slow news week or a couple of days. So right, we'll leave it there. So there we go. Nobody joined me this week in the chat. Let's just make sure there's nobody else. No, there's nobody in there. No. Has anybody sent me any messages? No. Nobody cares. You're all out having fun in this lovely warm weather. And I'm sitting here boiling with a little air conditioning thing going. Anyway, well, we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. As I said, I'll be back tomorrow night with the Monday Moan, A Quiet Place. Got to watch it. So until then, don't forget, as you can see, when is it? I'm rubbish at this. My Patreon, it's open if you want to watch some other rubbish videos that I do. But we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other. Where are we? There. And until next time, I'll see you.